How's it been so far this weekend?
It's great. Love Louisville. Love all the people here.
And have you perfected saying the name of the city? Because I'm still working on it.
I don't. I love saying it Louisville. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. Is it? Okay, great. That's how I've always said it. So I'm glad it's right.
Okay, so
I'm from the South, so
Oh.
I guess I pronounce things like a Southerner.
sounds good. You'll have to teach me a little bit. But okay, so before we kind of get into it, I follow you on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
And no, I think you're amazing. I think the top of your account says Taylor Swift fan account.
Yeah, that's first and foremost. That's
Okay.
what everyone should know about me.
So can we talk a little bit about are you like a Swiftie?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So how do we feel about her album being snubbed at the Grammys? She didn't get nominated for Album of the Year, I believe is what I'm hearing.
Is that right?
I believe so.
I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I'm going to have to talk to the people at the Grammys.
Exactly. So after this, we're going to go to the Grammy people.
Yeah.
And we're going to, get Taylor Swift on that nomination list.
Yeah, I'm going to use all my power in the industry. Power that apparently Taylor Swift doesn't have. So just going to crush the Grammys. Like Taylor's going to crush Scooter Braun.
Tea.
Yeah, boo hiss.
Boo. But I do believe she is able to perform her songs at the AMAs now.
She is. Yeah, she made them change their mind.
So out of curiosity, what kind of attracts you to that kind of music?
She's just the best. Come on.
Okay, absolutely. So now that we've established that, now we can get into, talking more about you. And since
Fine.
since I'm curious about what attracts you to music, I'm also curious about what attracts you to a role.
The money that they pay me.
Is it a lot?
Is it? No, it's not.
Oh.
It never is. It's never enough. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not starving or anything, but I'm not rich. So I really, obviously there's auditions that I'll turn down, but if the material is just I don't understand it, or it's too way outside my what I would be comfortable with, which happens occasionally. There's just super weird stuff that I get submitted for, and I'm just I will never do that. I'm I don't understand it. There was some show for Adult Swim a few years ago that was so weird. I think it just aired recently, but it's so weird that I was I don't understand what's going on, and I love weird stuff, and I'm I can't do this. I don't know who this character is. I don't know why he would say these things, and it's stuff that I literally cannot say in front of children. I'm you're gonna put this on television, basic cable.
You said Adult Swim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right, yeah.
Which I love Adult Swim. I've done a few episodes of a show on there called Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, which is super vulgar and super weird, but I love it. So it's there's just some things where I'm just I don't get it. Yes. What attracts me to the work that I do in general is trying to find what sort of binds me to a character, right? What are the things that I have in common with a character, or how can I find a way to play this character with truth? So even I recently auditioned for a really terrible person, and I'm just okay, so what? What motivates this guy? Why would he do the things that he does? And I was just okay, well, what is his truth? And his truth is that he believes in what he's saying, and that's that if he believes in it, then he's right, then he's the good guy. So even if he's a bad guy in the whole story, in his story, he's the good guy. So.
I always love hearing about that, how people have to get into certain mindsets. And like you just said, when somebody's the villain, they have to look at themselves as the hero.
Right.
So when you were you given the script for Stranger Things before the audition, or how did that all come to play out?
So I was given, I auditioned for a few different roles on the show.
11.
I was first auditioned for 11,
okay.
yeah. David Harbor and I were both vying for that role, really fighting over it. No, so I auditioned for a few different, like very minor roles on the show, and I only got the scenes, so I didn't really have like an idea of like what the show was. Even initially, like they had cast me as like a different character on the show, and then fired me, and then hired me again for Mr. Clark. So I hadn't like, even after like the initial like when they were like, hey, we want you to do this character. The reason they fired me is that they cut the character from the show completely during pre-production. They were like, I think cutting the budget, but also like, hey, these, you know, like he was very similar to like other characters, and they were like, let's just get rid of this other guy. So even after they had hired me initially, like I hadn't gotten the scripts yet. And so the first time that I read the scripts was at the table read at the beginning of season 1. So I read the first 6 scripts there.
That's awesome. And like your character was such an integral like part of the whole setup of everything. Did you realize like how entwined your character was going to be in the entire show?
Yeah, no, not until like I read those first like I said, 6 episodes. I think it's in episode 7 where he's on a date, right? And that's when Dustin calls to get him to tell him how to build a sensory deprivation tank. Yeah. Curiosity door, yeah. So yeah, I didn't read episode 7 until later. But it's I thought they were gonna kill me off because they were like killing everyone. And
you
then
survived.
there's a scene in episode 6, I think it is, where Connie, who's like the assassin who kills Benny, she like is knocking on a door, and I'm like reading the script, just like waiting for my scene, and it's just like she's knocking on a door. I'm like, well, somebody's dead. And then it's like Mr. Clark opens the door, and I'm like, no! And I like put the script down, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. Like my life has barely begun as Mr. Clark, and they're gonna kill me. And I was like, okay, Randy, you got to finish the scene. Maybe they won't. So I went through, read the scene. I'm like, oh, maybe she doesn't kill me. And I'm like, or, you know, maybe we just see my dead body later on, because the scene sort of just like ends, and you don't see Mr. Clark for like the rest of the episode. So it's just like, what happened? Like, is he gonna end up dead? Or, and then next time you see him, he's on a date, alive and well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alive and well. What were you like in high school?
I was real depressed, real moody. But like was in theater and like a theater nerd / weirdo. That's who I was.
Were you into science at all?
Nope. Not a smart man.
So then you were an incredible actor, because I believe you.
That's right.
I'd
That's
take
right.
some science.
That's right. I look like I can do science, so that's an added bonus.
So can you help me with my science homework later?
I can try, but you will fail.
Okay, that's okay. I'm not in a science class. Okay,
great.
So if it's okay with you, we're going to take some questions from the audience.
Yeah, you bet.
So we're going to let Sarah go out there, or do we have a microphone out there? We have a microphone. Oh, okay.
Right over here.
Very intimidating spot. Okay.
Hi, Alexi. Hi, Barb.
Do we have Slurpees for everybody, or what's up? Oh my gosh. All right, jelly. So yeah, we have a microphone that's set up right over here. So whatever questions you have for Randy, now is your opportunity to ask. Anything off limits, Randy?
I mean, unless it happens.
Oh boy.
I reserve the right to turn down a question, but I don't think I will.
Okay. Because I
Looks
know
like a good crowd.
people always try to get spoilers for the next season and stuff. We can't talk about that.
Oh yeah, no, they're gonna do that, but I'll just say no.
Do you want to make something up?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, great. Then it's on camera and they're out of context and they're like, he
Oh,
gave
yeah.
away the
No,
entire
or
season 4.
it'll just like randomly happen in the show, and then Netflix will have me killed.
Your character killed.
No, Randy
Oh,
Havens
actually you.
himself, the actor.
Okay. Did you want to ask a question? You seemed like you were getting ready to get up. All right, our first willing victim.
Great.
Perfect.
Hello there.
Oh, it's muted? Oh, flip it up. Perfection.
Hello.
All right. So she was just asking about how you were in high school. Did you have a Mr. Clark? Did you have a teacher who helped get you through things?
I did. I had a few teachers, English teachers and drama teachers that were really cool to me in high school. So and then I became an actor.
Awesome. awesome.
I was talking to some people today, and they were like, I had a really cool, like, Mr. Clark type science teacher, and that got me into science. And I was like, this is what happens. This is what teachers do.
What was your favorite or funniest part in Stranger Things?
The funniest thing that happened was the funeral scene in season 1, where Dustin has all these cookies in his mouth. So Mr. Clark is like super concerned about the kids, right? So he like walks over and he's like, "Hey, how you guys holding up?" And they're like, "Oh, we're in mourning." And they're like, "Yeah, we're mourning so hard." And then Dustin just has a mouthful of cookies, and he's just like, "These aren't real Nilla wafers." I had a lot of trouble getting through that scene. We all did. Me and Finn and Caleb all were breaking constantly, and like the Duffer Brothers were like, "Can you fit like more cookies in your mouth?" And I was like, "Can he fit less cookies in his mouth? Can he fit like no cookies in his mouth? Can we stop with the cookies, please? Because we can't hold it together, man." Like, and they're just like, "No way, man. You got to power through this. This is too good." Yeah, thank you.
Were you actually into
Best cosplay ever.
Oh, thank you. Were you actually into like AV stuff as like a kid?
Yeah, no. My friends and I made like short films and stuff together. So yeah, we were into like video production and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Out of Barb, Bob, and Lexi, which death hit you the most? Because I feel like they died. Like there's this person who we love so much that dies each season.
Yeah. I think I saw Lexi coming from like a mile away. I'm pretty sure it was Bob, where I was just like, "Oh man, that one hurts deep." Barb, I like wasn't attached to.
Really? You weren't part of the Justice
initially,
for Barb?
no, and because she was so like, it was like so early on in the series that I was like just sort of like, sort of downloading all the information about the show, like as I was watching it, or as I was reading about it, and it really wasn't until like, a few weeks later that I was like, wait a minute, the entire internet is like, how dare you do this to our Barb? I was like, all right, okay, I guess people like this show.
Fair.
But yeah, no, I think it was Bob, because he was such a sweetheart, and like Sean Astin did such a good job with that character, and just like made him so lovable that we just like that one definitely like hit me deepest. You hope they don't kill me? Well, I hope they do. But thank you.
Hello.
I got to get that death bump, y'all. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering, I'm an actor too, and I'm taking an acting for a film class right now.
Cool.
I was wondering how much theater helped you to get, like, film-wise,
Yeah, sure. Theater's like super important. I think because it really puts you out there without a net. Like I started off doing like making short films with my friends, and then I did like sketch comedy and improv comedy, and then theater. So the great thing about theater is you get to do it differently every night. You get to like pick a new way to do it. Like you're never stuck in like one sort of routine. Obviously, you're stuck with your lines, but just having like like you have to have the whole play like in your brain, and it's great training for doing film and television, because like once the cameras start rolling, like you're on your own, and once you get in front of an audience, once the play starts, there's nothing stopping it, short of a tragedy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your question.
What scene by far like hit you the most emotionally?
Oh my God, I know exactly. Like as soon as you started asking that question, I was like, I got it. It is She's Our Friend and She's Crazy from season 1, when the bully is like trying to murder them all. And then 11 comes and like stops it, and they all have like that hug, and it's where sort of 11 learns that she's not a monster, and like that she has like friends and she has people that love her, and that she's not this thing that like Brenner told her that she was, which was like a weapon or like something dangerous, but that she was like a human and like someone worthy of love. Gets me every time.
So there have been several instances where like the kids from Stranger Things just go to Mr. Clark in the most inconvenient of moments and ask like the strangest of questions. Has Mr. Clark ever been like suspicious that there may be something going on in the background?
I don't think so. I don't think so. They're just curious children. They're just on the curiosity voyage, man. And who is Mr. Clark to deprive them of their paddles?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering, what was the funniest thing that happened behind the scenes?
I don't know. Probably the cookie thing. That's definitely like the most that I've laughed in my lifetime. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not around for like a lot of the pranks and stuff. So I definitely missed like the prank wars that happened. But yeah, I think the funniest thing that happened you ended up seeing on screen, which is Dustin with a mouthful of cookies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How did it feel when you first saw a Demogorgon in the show?
I like cool. I was like, this thing is scary. I love it. I first saw the Demogorgon. We did like a screening of the first 2 episodes just for the cast and crew at the studio that we shoot at, and this was like in December of like 2015. So like as we're like shooting the show, so like we were just getting ready to go on the Christmas break, and the Duffer Brothers were like, hey, we've got the first 2 episodes are kind of finished. Like no special effects and no music, and like the titles weren't right or like anything like that. But like, so we got to see like, a rough cut of the first 2 episodes, and it was like so good. And then you see like just sort of shapes of the Demogorgon. I think it's like episode 3 where you finally get to like where he's like, he has like the deer. He's like pulling the deer into the upside down, and he like turns around and like opens up like the flower. But yeah, no, I love the design of him, and like most of that was like practical. There's just a few minor tweaks that they would do like digitally. So like that was like a real guy in a suit, and like his face like actually like opened up. That was animatronic. So it's very, very cool costume design. But I'm into that stuff. I'm like into scary stuff, so it didn't scare me.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Hi.
What a polite young
I was
gentleman.
wondering, what's it like working with Millie Bobby Brown and Finn Wolford?
Awesome. Great. Finn is very funny, and Millie obviously is a legend. I don't know how she's accomplished everything that she has at like 15, but bless ups to her, man. She is awesome. She's super precocious and obviously incredibly charming, and super smart, obviously. Like, she runs her own company, for crying out loud. But yeah, and Finn's obviously a little rock star. So yeah, no, I love working with both of them. They're really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look at this.
Hello.
Hi.
Other than yourself, who is your favorite character on Stranger Things?
Why would you think that I would be my own favorite character? Wow. Wow, you think I'm real full of myself, but you're right. You're right. I love my character. Favorite character on the show? That's so hard. I guess because like Gaten makes me laugh so much in real life, that Dustin is my favorite. But that's a hard call to make, because they're all so amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But little Dart was also so cute too.
Baby Dart.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, of course. Come on, who doesn't? Who
I'm gonna be
doesn't sing
singing
Baby
that later.
Dart to
Thanks a
the
lot.
Baby Shark song? Hi.
What was the most difficult scene to film, like in terms of having to pretend like something was there? When it was
So I don't like. So Mr. Clark doesn't really interact with any like monsters or stuff. So like all my stuff is like super practical. Most difficult scene to film. Got to go back to Dustin with the mouthful of cookies. That was very, very hard for me. The most nervous was my scene with Winona, because I'm like, oh well, I literally have to do a scene with a legend. Better learn my lines for this one. Better not screw this up. And obviously, like the science stuff, like I'm a dum dum, so it's the science stuff is hard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to just get on your knees.
I could probably do that, yeah. So my favorite genre of films is the kids' adventure thing, the Goonies and the Super 8, and Stranger Things plays right into that. So I guess I'm just curious because I love that so much. Are there any humorous challenges in working with kids or young people on set like that?
No, quite the opposite. It's like the easy. Those are like the easiest days. Children, due to labor laws, children can only work a certain number of hours a day, and they also have to have a certain number of hours of school time. So I get a lot of breaks, and I have short days. So yeah, no, it's. Then these kids are so like they're so talented, and they're like very professional when they're on set. That I just forget that they're kids sometimes. There's a point in like, obviously they're not kids anymore. They're like basically baby adults at this point. But like I was like walking on a set at some point in like season 1, and they were like on a playground playing because we were like shooting at a school, and I was just like, oh yeah, they're children. Huh.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for your question. Hi.
Hi. So I was going to ask who your favorite character was, but I guess I'll ask who your least favorite character is.
Oh my gosh. It's Dr. Brenner. Oh my God. Either him or like the Russian Terminator guy.
Okay.
Those guys are both a couple of POSs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When Gay Marazzo asked you at North Snap's funeral, and he asked you how to open up a gate, how did you feel?
When he asked me, like at Will's funeral, that scene, when I do the paper plate thing, how does Mr. Clark feel, or how do I
Clark feel?
How did Mr. Clark feel? Excited to talk about the two things that he loves most in the world, which is Dungeons and Dragons and theoretical physics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. What was first going through your head when you first got the part of Mr. Clark?
I was super excited. They actually told me like there at the table read, like before we even started, that I had the part. But I didn't really understand. I was just like one of the duffers was just like, we're excited to have you on board, man. And I was like, yeah, I'm excited to be here today to read this part for you. So I'm just like, a cynic, because I've had my heart broken so many times by this industry. That I was like, they surely don't mean that I have the part. Nothing's that easy. You can't just decide to give me a part like that, but sure they can. It's their show. So I was very excited, and once I read the scripts, I was even more excited because it was like the genre bending that sort of they were doing within the show was like really amazing, and like the fact that it was like Stephen King, sort of like Stephen King meets Steven Spielberg in the 80s was like just like what I grew up on. Like these are like the movies that it inspired me as a child. So I was very, very excited to do it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
So were you like when you first joined Stranger Things? Were there like any actors or actresses that you were just like really pumped to meet or nerded out about?
On the show?
Yes.
I was super excited that Chris Sullivan was on the show because I was a big fan of his show called The Nick. And I loved his character, and he was like my favorite character on that show. And then like, you know, like his second scene, he gets murdered. So I was just like, they killing everybody. They killed Chris Sullivan, bro. Yeah, like, what's your question again? I just got lost.
Were there any actors?
Oh, actors that I was excited about. Obviously, Winona Ryder. Come on, living legend. And then David Harbor. Obviously, like I like love character actors because I am one. And so, like, you know, at that point, like David Harbor was a character actor. You know, I think he's officially a movie star at this point. But at that point, he was a character actor, and like I had seen him like play these very small roles, but do just an amazing job. He has like 1 or 2 scenes in Brokeback Mountain, and he is so good and so subtle in what he's doing that is just really great. Yeah, I think those 3. Because obviously the kids, I didn't know them. Like I hadn't seen any of their work before, and those are the 3 actors that I knew on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
What was the first thing that inspired you to become an actor?
First thing that inspired me to become an actor. It's kind of a like strange thing because I was like making short films with my friends, and then we would swap off, like, you know, like, okay, well, you direct this thing and you act in this thing and like you write this thing, and then there was just like one day where I was like, I don't want to do the directing thing anymore. I just want to act in it. That was it. I think that was the moment where I was like, oh, I think this is what I want to do with my life. It just took a while to get there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who was the most stubborn character in the show?
Who's the most stubborn character in the show?
Yeah.
Who's the most stubborn character? I think Hopper. I think Hopper's pretty stubborn. I think he doesn't listen a lot of the times. When Joyce says it's not a date, he's like, sure, it's not a date. And then he gets all like, he wears his fancy clothes. Like, dude, she said it wasn't a date. And he doesn't really listen to her when she's like telling him that stuff's going wrong. And yeah, I mean, R.I.P. Hopper, but you know, maybe be a little less problematic, and you won't be so dead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, great cosplay.
Thank you. What was your favorite line to deliver on the show?
My favorite line to deliver on the show. Interesting. Ooh. I think when like Mr. Clark is like, when he lets sort of like Dustin's talking about, he's talking about, God, what does he call it? Talking about the upside down, but it's like the nether, it's like the, whatever the Dungeons and Dragons term for the upside down is. Does anybody know what it is? What's that? The what? The Underdark? Okay, that's not what they say in the show, though. God, what do they? I don't know. But there's like a point where like Dustin's like, "Do you know about like this? You know, do you know what this thing is?" And Mr. Clark just immediately is just like, "Oh yeah, it's like the ethereal plane where you know like dark magic rules and like death is like the law of the land or whatever." The line that I can't remember is my favorite line.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm an idiot.
I know this is the second time I'm up here, but it's the last time, I promise.
It's fine. You don't.
Okay.
There's not a line behind you,
You're more
so
than welcome.
I think you're good.
So, what would you want to happen in season 4?
What do I want to have happen in season 4? I cannot answer that question because what if I said something that actually happens in season 4?
How about you want season 4 to be just as successful as the other 3 seasons?
You know what? You know what I want to have happen in season 4?
What?
Everybody to have a good time. How about this? Maybe Will has some friends that do want to play D&D with him. How about that? Maybe 11 gets to go a whole season without being tortured by monsters from another world. Everybody has healthy friendships and relationships with each other. Max and Lucas don't break up 5 times. Everyone enjoys their ice cream at Scoops Ahoy. Maybe they rebuild the mall. I could go on.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark gets a Ferrari. How about
What
that?
color?
Oh, yeah, red. Come on, Magnum PI style. Yeah.
And
Yeah, that
cookies
seems
for
like it's
Dustin.
gonna
And
happen in this
cookies
show,
for
totally.
Dustin. What's that? Sorry.
Yeah, that seems like it's gonna happen in this show.
All
That's
of
the kind of
that.
show it is.
All of that.
Yeah. No more monsters.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
What is it like working with David Harbor?
David Harbor, come on, he's a legend. He's very funny. He's also super dedicated to his craft. So when you're working with Chief Hopper, you are working with Chief Hopper. Like, he's Chief Hopper, like, he's in it. Yeah, he's just like, he's inspiring to me to watch him work because he's so dedicated to what he does. And then, like, Offset, he is very funny and just, like, so happy to be where he is at this point, like, in his life and career. He's just, that's infectious as well. He's just, like, such a sweetheart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, so any questions you have, now is your opportunity. I know you can't comment on this, so this is more of a question for the audience. You said something a little bit earlier, and I know we locked eyes.
Great.
You said something about RIP to Hopper.
Yeah.
I just want to know out of the audience what our feelings are if we think Hopper did survive. Oh, I'm getting some head shakes. Okay, so how about noise? Okay, cheer if you think that he survived. And cheer if we think R.I.P. Hopper. All right, then.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
And you can't have a comment. Okay, so while we're waiting for more comments, while you guys were filming, did you have any idea that it was going to be this global phenomenon that would lead you to sitting right here talking to all of us right now?
No idea whatsoever. Because I've done a lot of stuff that no one's seen, or that very, very few people have seen. So I was like, well, get ready to do another thing that nobody's going to watch. But I really loved the material, and I thought it was really great. After like it did become a huge hit, I remember thinking that Sean Levy, I was like, he knew, because he always kind of had like a grin on his face and like a glint in his eye, like he knew that he had something special going on, which I think we all did. Like the material was so good, and obviously like. I talked earlier about the cast and crew screening that we did. You could just feel like everybody in the room go, oh my God, this is good. And so we knew we were working with something good, but I thought it was just going to be like a small, dedicated fan base. I thought it was just going to have like a cult following, and that was going to be it. And so, obviously pleasantly surprised when like everyone on the planet was like, no, this is our favorite show. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, another question
Hello,
from
Barb's
Barb.
back.
Hello.
She's back. Oh.
Barb is back. Were there any scenes that got cut that you really wish had made it into the show?
No. I don't. I'm trying to think if there's like, maybe like, I don't even think there's like a part of any of my scenes that got cut. There might have been, but.
Well, you're just that good. They kept them all.
What's that?
You're just that good. They kept them all.
That's right. They can't cut me. Can't cut me. It's very hard for editors because they're just like, well, we want to cut this scene down, but we can't because you're too good. No one's ever said that to me, by the way. No, but I did. It's funny because I've read the original pilot, and I'm like happy about some of the changes that got made. Not so happy about others because they describe Mr. Clark as like an Indiana Jones type in the pilot script, and I'm like, Where's that Mr. Clark? Come on, he
Are
should
they
have
gonna
like
give you a whip?
I know, right? Give him a whip and have him go on adventures. That's what I want.
Season 4.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, you got my curiosity up when you talked about some of your projects that were
Great, I've opened
excited
up your
about,
curiosity,
but they
Joel.
kind of fell on their face
Yeah.
through the years. What are some of your favorite projects that you thought were going to make it, and then they kind of ended up with either a small fan base or kind of fizzled out, but maybe we could look for them if they're in nooks and crannies somewhere?
Yeah, well, I mean, like Netflix is a pretty big nook and cranny itself. There's a show that I was on called *Halt and Catch Fire*. That had, basically a small, dedicated fan base. What I thought *Stranger Things* was going to have, and it was like, it lasted 4 seasons, so it wasn't like a complete failure or anything. It was just like one of those shows that didn't take off. I think the way that like AMC, which was the network that it was on, like I think it wanted it to be like the next Mad Men, and it's a very good show. Like it's an incredible show, and it has some really good acting and like some really great writing. It just didn't. I think because of the subject matter, it was about like guys who made computers in the '80s. And it was just like, oh, okay, well, this is like, no one cares, literally no one cares about this.
I'm no one, because we totally watched it.
Well, I mean, like, the show's great, but I mean, like, getting someone to watch a show about engineers in the 80s, like, building old computers, like, it's just like, who wants to watch that show? But I almost knew, like, when I was reading the scripts, I was like, this is too smart, like, but also, like, getting someone to watch it, like if you got someone to watch it, if you could like convince someone to watch it, like they would become a fan of the show.
Right.
But it was just like there just weren't enough people out there. Like obviously like with *Stranger Things*, like it was a thing, right? Like people told their friends.
Right.
People told their family, and they were like, "You've got to see this show. Like this show's amazing." And if it weren't for like people doing that, like it wouldn't have been like a huge hit. So like the fans are like the most important part of a show, and sometimes a show doesn't build like a big enough fan base to do that.
Right, to catch on.
So that's like that's the big one. Is *Halt* was so good. I've also done things that aren't very good, which I will not mention here because don't drag a bad show.
I'll go dig those up too.
They paid me money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your opinion on the character 8?
On the character 8, very cool. That whole like storyline reminded me of an old movie from the '80s called Firestarter. There's even like a kind of the power that she has to like make you see stuff that's not there is like a power that a character in that movie has. And it's interesting if you like go back and watch Firestarter, like you'll see like a lot of the stuff that they sort of like use in *Stranger Things* is definitely inspired by that story, including like Eleven's parents. So yeah, check out that movie, and I think it's a nice bit of like supplementary material to the show.
Hi.
Hello, Beetlejuice. I'll only say your name once.
Okay, thank God.
It's a good idea. What is your favorite film from the 80s?
Who's my favorite film from the 80s? I think right now is probably *Gremlins*. I think they're doing a screening. I'll be in Atlanta in December, and I think they're doing a screening of it in Atlanta. So I think I'm going to get to go watch it on the big screen, which is super exciting.
Thank you.
But I'm also a big fan of your movie. Just not going to say your name again.
Yeah, you better say that. Great. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. If
All right.
anyone
See you
has
later,
any-
Walter White.
Oh, wow. Yep. No. Okay, so since we are here at a convention, and obviously there's like some incredible fandoms and incredible cosplay, if you could come and cosplay as any character or any person, what would you wear?
It's the Nick Cage character from Mandy. How many people here have seen Mandy? Oh my God, just 2?
4.
Really?
They doubled.
There's a couple more? Oh, yeah, okay, great. You guys, well, okay, children, no, don't see this movie. Grown-ups, definitely see this movie. It's one of the best movies of last year, or this year. Is it this year? Come out earlier this year? It's either late 2018 or early 2019. It's a great, great, great film, and it just gets better every time I watch it. Okay, I'll see you guys later. It's nice to meet you. Sorry I bored you. They're like, no, we have to get somewhere. Great, thank you for staying.
So, any final thoughts before we wrap this up, or anything you want to plug? Social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media. Just search my name, Randy Havens. You'll find me. I'm there on the Instagrams and the Twitters. I'm very stupid. I'm a very dumb person, so don't judge me for the stupid jokes that I make.
Judgment-free zone.
Thank you.